Alma sat quietly in the bustling Nairobi airport lounge, her fingers nervously drumming on her leather bag. At 65, she felt out of place among the travelers half her age. This trip to Africa was supposed to be her escape, a desperate attempt to break free from the solitude that had consumed her since her husband passed 2 years ago, but the loneliness had followed her here, refusing to loosen its grip. As she shifted uncomfortably in her chair, a young man entered the lounge. His confidence struck, drawing her attention. He was tall, with a bright smile that seemed to light up the room. Alma noticed how effortlessly he interacted with the staff and other travelers, his charm evident in every gesture. When their eyes met, Musa's expression softened, and he walked over. "Excuse me, do you need help with your bag?" he asked, his deep voice warm and inviting. Alma hesitated for a moment before nodding. She had been struggling with the oversized suitcase since leaving the hotel, but her pride had stopped her from asking for assistance. "Thank you," she said softly as Musa hoisted the bag onto his shoulder with ease. "I didn't want to trouble anyone." "It's no trouble," Musa replied with a grin. "It's part of my job as a guide." "Are you here for the safari tour?" Alma nodded again, surprised by his intuition. "Yes, I am. It's my first time in Africa. I've always wanted to visit, but life got in the way." Musa studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. "Well, you're here now. That's what matters." They fell into easy conversation as they waited for their respective groups to be called. Musa spoke about his work as a guide and his dreams of one day starting his own tour company. Alma found herself drawn to his enthusiasm and ambition. He seemed so full of life, so sure of his place in the world. It was a stark contrast to the emptiness she'd been feeling. "And you?" Musa asked, breaking her reverie. "What brought you here?" Alma hesitated. How could she put into words the ache of losing her husband, the endless days spent alone in a house that no longer felt like home? Instead, she offered a small smile. "I suppose I wanted an adventure." Musa nodded as if he understood more than she was saying. "Africa is full of adventure. You'll see." When the announcement came for their groups to board, Musa helped her with her bag once more. As they parted ways, he turned to her with a playful smile. "Maybe we'll meet again. The world has a funny way of bringing people together." Alma watched him go, feeling a strange flutter in her chest. She shook her head, chastising herself for her foolishness. He was young, vibrant, and full of possibilities, and yet for the first time in years, she felt something within her, a faint glimmer of excitement, a flicker of hope. The open plain stretched endlessly as the safari jeep bounced along the uneven path. Alma sat in the back seat, her camera in hand, marveling at the vastness of the African landscape. Musa, seated in the driver's seat, glanced at her through the rearview mirror and smiled. "You'll want to keep your camera ready," he said, his voice carrying over the hum of the engine. "This area is known for its elephants." Alma adjusted her hat and aimed the lens toward the horizon. "It's incredible," she murmured. "I've never seen anything like this." Musa chuckled. "That's the magic of Africa. It has a way of surprising you when you least expect it." The jeep came to a stop, and Musa hopped out, extending a hand to help Alma. The touch was brief, but she noticed the warmth of his skin and the ease of his strength. Together, they walked toward a shaded area where a group of elephants grazed in the distance. As the afternoon stretched on, their conversation grew more personal. Alma found herself sharing fragments of her life she rarely discussed. She told Musa about her years as a teacher, the joy she found in shaping young minds, and the emptiness that followed her retirement. Musa listened intently, nodding in understanding. "You know," he said, leaning against the jeep, "when I was younger, I always thought life would get easier with age, but hearing you talk, I realize the challenges just change." Alma smiled faintly. "It's not the years that weigh you down, it's the things you lose along the way." The honesty in her words lingered between them. Musa looked away, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "I lost my father when I was 15, he admitted. It's why I started working so young, to take care of my family." Alma hadn't expected such vulnerability, but it deepened her respect for him. "You've done well for yourself, Musa. It's not easy to face life's hardships and still carry yourself with such grace." His eyes met hers, and for a moment, The world seemed to shrink around them. There was no age, no cultural divide, just two people connecting over shared pain and resilience. The spell was broken when Musa's phone buzzed. He answered quickly, speaking in Swahili. Alma turned away, focusing on the elephants, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something between them had shifted. Later, as the group gathered around the campfire, Alma noticed Musa's easy camaraderie with the others. He laughed and joked, his charm effortlessly pulling people in. Yet, when his eyes found hers across the fire, there was a softness in his gaze that seemed meant only for her. When the night grew cold, Musa offered her his jacket. "You'll need this," he said simply. Alma hesitated before accepting it, her fingers brushing against his. The small gesture sent a ripple through her, a reminder of the warmth she hadn't felt in years. As she lay in her tent at night, Alma stared at the ceiling, her heart heavy with confusion. She hadn't come here looking for anything beyond adventure, and yet Musa's presence was stirring something inside her, a longing she couldn't quite name.